Leading up to Ladli, I had worked on several early projects which were in a way concerned with issues that in some way explored my heritage, whether it was in Africa or in the case of my father, or North Pakistan as with my grandfather. The last 2 years now I've been listening and compiling stories throughout India of a broad spectrum of issues, ranging from stories of children abandoned in orphanages to dowry death and difficulties of domestic violence. The themes and testimonials explored within Ladli are at times rather complex and intimate in nature. And while I believe in some ways it's essential to allude to the depths of the problem and to make people in other parts of the world aware of the scope of what women in India have to deal with in their daily lives, I also felt protective of this kind of trust that they had given me and was not wanting to expose the women to further hardship. And I searched in a way for the right balance in order to relate the story, yet not reduce them to a moment of trauma in their lives or perhaps place them at risk. It's essential to present the issue, the broad range of what happens to women and girls and children. But at the same time, it's also, it's a real imperative not to trespass further upon young people who have endured great hardship in their lives. And so I hope that the book is able to encapsulate their lives and create a kind of vocabulary, a kind of dialogue which is effective without trespass. The testimonials or the text serves in a way almost as an image. It has a kind of visual quality. It's not before you on the page the way in which maybe a portrait is, but it provides a level of complexity which elaborates on what the photographs do at the best of times. What you're searching for is a complication of the image. You see the photograph, and then you perhaps read the text, and suddenly you're confronted with something jarring, which in a way changes the way in which you see the photograph. I've always worked with black and white. It's more tactile for me. It moves the subject into an area of abstraction, which is for me much more contemplative. It takes it out of everyday life and proposes it as a discourse, as a kind of conversation or interaction with the viewer in a way that I have not found color. Color doesn't affect me in the same way. At the end of the Ladli publication, there's a series of images that were given to me by women's groups, activists, organizations, and I integrated them into the piece, again feeling that it was important to allude to the depths of the issue, the profound nature of the issue within the country. And these women's groups often realize how these issues are part of their everyday lives, but that people in other countries have no sense of what is really going on within the Indian society. Though people in India are well aware that thousands of women die in dowry death burnings a year, I think for an international audience it's important to confront that reality in a very forward fashion. I've always been a bit troubled by the notion that a person making images must be described either as an artist or a documentarian or a photojournalist. It seems to me that, if you're making strong work, it can reach across those boundaries, and I hope that the images that I make are able to fit in within various spheres. India is sort of stepping forward onto the world economic stage with a great celebration. We might, at the moment we're celebrating that, we might also take the time to consider difficulties within society which need to be addressed. And I think and hope that this is just such a moment.